picking up on where I left off yesterday. Happy Michaelmas. This is a sad Michaelmas for me in a certain way, but also a happy one in another way, I hope. It's all related to the vegan cross. The last Passover. The last slain lamb. But Jesus separated the lambs from the goats. I don't know if I'll get back to that today. Because Michaelmas is about Michael. I'm fuzzy on the details. But you know, Michael is famous for shoving the devil and the demons into hell, and to all souls who go to hell into hell, and they suffer for eternity. But people confuse, and this is a major philosophical flaw, people confuse eternity and forever. I don't blame you if you don't believe me when I say what I'm about to say. I, like Moses, fell into the triple black. It wasn't so heroic of a story. And saw the backside of God. My understanding is that, well, the reason I say triple black is because once in my life I heard someone talking about how the ancient Egyptians called it the triple black, and as soon as I heard that word, I knew what that was. And I know there are legions out there still alive, because there's the living in hell. I'm still alive, and I'm in hell. Heaven still shines its light upon me. But there are also the dead in hell. And that's different. Michaelmas. The season before All Hallows Eve. Seas. What Moses called the backside of God, I've determined, the possibility exists, and especially because I'm a doubter, the possibility exists that I'm incorrect about this, but, because people talk about how do you know God's real? I know now, because I was shown. When I went to the triple black, that moment in my life was bigger than every other moment in my life combined. Really. But I've had some I've had a lot of moments that are tied for second place. Right now I'm in a moment that's tied for third. So there are those among you who are like, this is shit, and I don't blame you. I am not your messenger, right? There are different apostles, there are different disciples, there are different books. There are different kinds of engineering, depending upon what you're doing. But there is a lost army of God. Well, more than one. From the Christian standpoint, which always goes back to David and forgets Ibrahim. But anyway, from the globally Christian standpoint, and when I say that, I mean all of it. Pretty well collectively, we talk a lot about David, we talk a lot about Adam. We talk a little bit about Ibrahim. Isaac, Sarah. I'm sorry, my pronunciation shit. Please forgive me. But from a Christian standpoint, Hagar, Hajar, I'm sorry for my pronunciation. Completely overlooked and dismissed. Though it's touched upon. It's touched upon in Mary and her cousin. Or her sister. Or her what? And Jesus and John. So in some sense, Mary and who was John the Baptist's mother? I can't remember her name right now. I'm having a brain fart. And then Jesus and John. And that very much is a allusion to Sarah, Hajar, Isaac, Ishmael. We've turned our back on Hajar. And I also believe that Christians should start calling Hagar Hajar. However the pronunciation, whatever that Islamic, Egyptian pronunciation is, I think Christians should say that. Because it recognizes the etymological, the phonetic history better. And Hagar is an ugly word. It starts with Hagar, and also there's that cartoon that has run in Hagar was a cartoon I quite liked of a barbarian named Hagar. And we can't have that. A cartoon, like a comic strip in newspapers, which are dying. And Hajar, 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 Hajar. It's more beautiful and more true. And the fact that we dropped the ball from the Judeo-Christian standpoint, people argue back and forth between Christianity and Islam. Now, make no mistake. Well, this is the thing too. And I've only recently learned this, but it was the same thing like when I heard triple black. Because I fell down in my shower one day to the triple black. To the backside of God. I'm just saying. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for saying it. It's the most real thing that has ever happened in my life. And I don't deserve it. I don't deserve to deliver a message like this. And if you don't believe me, good for you. You know. But there are those who do believe me because they have fallen to the triple black. And no one has ever said it quite like this to them. And that's why I'm speaking. But I'm also speaking in other ways so that you too may connect with something else, because that's not the totality of me. My falling to the triple black, that's not the totality of me. There are many other things. And I cannot be put upon a pedestal as Moses was for seeing the backside of God, or for talking to the burning bush that burnt without being consumed, or however the language went. And the whole thing goes back to Melchizedek. Ibrahim, Abram. He did a tough life. He lived with the people of Ur. These days in the Judeo-Christian, like the people who have like butt cut haircuts and like wear polo shirts, and I'm not harshing on it. It's just, give me a little bit of a break. And are like da 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 da, no, that's super valuable, and those dudes are super smart. It just so happens they're wrong about a lot of shit. You go back to the, I've been watching some videos, but I've found it elsewhere, but I've been watching some videos where there's, the Aramaic project of the Christian Musicological Society of India, which aims to preserve the Aramaic Syriac tradition preserved by St. Thomas Judas, Thomas Didymus alone. Because the Is most commonly associated more southernly, I believe, in like the Arabian Peninsula, whereas the alternative, and it seems to be more correct analysis, is that Abraham of Abram of Ur is more best associated with more the northern into Turkey, and according to this one fellow I heard as part of the Aramaic project, which aims, and it's a small clan. It's a small group of people who are preserving this ancient truth. But they have a foothold. Thank God for that. Is that Abraham was more of like some kind of Macedonian lineage in through the greater Turkish, Persian region. And I've seen, I can't reference where I've seen it, but there are alternative definitions of where is. And I can't remember where it was in the Old Testament in the Bible, but it's definitely somewhere in the Old Testament in the Bible before 2 Kings. I can't remember where. I just remember it's before 2 Kings. There's a reference of how, like, this group of people moved to another place from the place they were, and they named the place that they went to. I can't remember, and I'm so sorry for it, but the scholars will know. Where they moved from one place to another, and they named the place they went to the same as the place they came from, right? And it's just like the thing in the United States, like Springfield, because like The Simpsons, that big television show, The Simpsons, Sometimes I'm talking to myself and like what I think are maybe people maybe today, but I have to remind myself I'm speaking to people thousands of years from now, and maybe this information will be, because we don't know what information will be served, just like those fragments of papyrus, just like the stones. Some stones have held, some stones have crumbled, some pyramids still stand, some have fallen, right? We don't know what will be preserved 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 years from now. What if my gigabytes, what if my megabytes, gigabytes, terabytes are the only thing preserved? I have to try to speak to generations, magnitudes. Sure, I'm using the decimals of 10, 100, 1,000. But that's base 10, not base 12, not base 2, not base 5, not base 16, not base 60. Right? And we're not sure, because some words do last longer than stone. Isn't that something? Some written words last longer than stone, or some spoken words, or some transliterated, twisted stories, reverberations last longer than even stone does. It's still a good idea to build your house out of stone, because that does keep the wolves out. But these days, it's such a toss-up, like, well, do I write? Do I carve in stone? Do I write on paper? Do I send it to a publisher? Do I publish a book? Do I make a blog? Do I save it on a YouTube video? What will be preserved and what will be recycled? We think we save everything in the cloud because we're thinking about like our lifetime or our children's lifetime. We think we're uploading something onto a cloud, and we don't think like that we're gonna there's gonna come a day where these information systems that we rely upon, like the materials we use for them, yes, they'll progress and so on, but like so much will be lost in the same way that like cassette tapes. I used to have boxes and boxes of cassette tapes and VHS tapes. And also, I can't remember what they called them, but like floppy disks. I still have, boxes of old school floppy disks. They're all junk. Because the computer I use to read them doesn't work. The plastic inside that was the disc is junk. So all this work I did in my youth, it's gone already. I would have been better off writing it on paper or carving it in stone. So most of our data will be lost. Some will be saved because it will be copied and 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 copied. It just so happens I'm playing the 10,000 year game, which makes me sad, because if what I'm doing, if what I'm feeling works, I have friends 10,000 years from now. And I don't know them. And that makes me sad. And like, sometimes I think this love I feel that I can't put on anybody. To be honest, not even on God, because I'm so many people are so, right? And not everybody should be like me. But like, I actually feel bad for God. When I think of God, I actually have a great sadness for God. Because of how hard God works. There was a reason why God lost his temper and destroyed the world with the flood. Biblically speaking, whether you believe that or not, but even if you don't believe that, mythologically, why would God destroy the world? The same reason people still kill their, especially baby girls, baby boys too, but people still kill the baby girls today. Take a search on Google Maps of distribution of male and female world map, something like that. Like, you might have to play with the wording, but like male female, worldwide male female distribution map. Google that. Well, as it so happens, if you also, and there's a lot of ways to play with the statistics, so some of the colors look a little different, a little this, some of the boundaries are a little different, little this, but more or less there's like this general consensus upon where there are more boys and where there are more girls. It's not a genetic nor an epigenetic phenomenon. It's about abortions, and more specifically, especially historically, born girls just simply thrown away. And that's the fucking truth, man. That's the fucking truth. And it so happens that that also corresponds the places where because it's the recorded birth rate, you know, numbers, social security numbers, and so on. Right? But if you're in a place where it's like you're kind of out of sight, rural, this, that, whatever, there's not a lot of like hardcore legitimate bureaucracy that's like honest. People are always like, bureaucrats, you know, bureaucracy gets a hard rap because most bureaucracy is corrupt. Bureaucracy isn't bad. It just so happens most of it is corrupt, or a lot of it is corrupt. The aim isn't to get rid of bureaucracy. The aim is to moralize. Like truly. Not in rules of the letter of the law, but the spirit of the law. To moralize bureaucracy. A moral bureaucracy. Like truly, like a good, a kind, a loving, a diligent bureaucracy is one of the greatest healing forces that could ever exist. That's why Sejong the Great, you should pause this and do a deep dive on Sejong the Great and come back. You won't find much if you're an English speaker, which is one of the greatest travesties of the West. The West has neglected Sejong the Great, who people say Alexander the Great, and we say, well, maybe. The West, you know, whatever. This person the great, that person the great. But like undeniably, documented, undeniably, Sejong the Great was great. He created the Korean language so that poor people could write complaints to him about the corruption of the bureaucrats and the government and the officials that were harshing on them and making their life shit. He took one of the first public opinion. I mean, I've gone on about it before. Sejong truly is great. But, anyway, back to Abraham. Why is Abraham great? Abraham's great because he came from Ur. And Ur is more associated among the Judeo-Christian world with southern Arabia. It seems, though, actually Ur was in northern Arabia and associated. There's this large mass of children, supposedly sacrificial children graves. There'll have to be a human taphonomy examination of that that I haven't seen, but either way, like, we know that child sacrifice was huge, like up in Scotland in, what is it, Chadhalla or whatever. in the stone circles around, circle houses around there, like burying babies or even like 8-year-old girls beneath the house to bless the house. You murder and sacrifice an 8-year-old girl and bury her beneath your house as a sacrifice, right? There is this murderous notion in us. Why? Well, the world's a murderous place. Yes, it is. In every which way, except for the most part, us. There are exceptions. Some animals are anti-murderous. There's this one awesome video I saw on YouTube where this hawk comes down to attack a rabbit, and out of frame there had been this deer that saw it, runs into the frame of the video, starts just stomping on the hawk. Now the deer didn't have to do this, right? That particular deer, this is so fucking remarkable. It's like the biggest thing ever. A hawk comes down and attacks a bunny rabbit. Immediately, this deer like circles in and starts stomping that hawk to fucking death. The bunny runs off immediately. Even after the hawk is dead, that deer is just like... Another deer runs in, trying to like be like, oh, what's up, or stop the deer, like, what are you doing? And that's what we humans do to each other. Because humans are like, stop the butchery, they stand up. You know? So that deer is most likely, because deer are mostly like really silent, really like, they're very careful until they see what they think is prey. But they don't know what's prey or friend. Because I have come upon deer hanging out with turkeys, and I scared them off. But they were like hanging out and actually being friendly. Like, I saw it with my own eyes. It was only for like 10 seconds, but it was true, right? Those little glimpses in life that we rarely see, especially in our domesticated, safe place. Not that domestication is bad. Domestication is good. Domestication is good, especially from our point within safe, cozy domestication, when we can look into the wilds and see how butcherous they are, but also when we can look into the wilds and see there are glimpses of humanity. Like, some people want to praise all the animals, save all the animals. I don't want to save the lions. I don't want to save the sharks. I don't want to hurt them necessarily. But when they come in my territory, you know, it's like, for instance, I don't go out of my way to kill hornets. But as soon as I see one near me, especially this time of year, it's October. Well, it's about to be October. It's Michaelmas, September 29th. So today it was cold. It was colder today. Overcast. As soon the sun came out for a couple hours, a little bit after noon, and then some like hornets started buzzing. When it's cold out, you learn this as a painter. When it's cold out, well, sometimes when it's hot out, like late August, September, October, later in the season, hornets and wasps are more likely to sting. Now, I pretty much never kill bees, but I kill hornets, because hornets are predatory. They steal peaceful creatures who eat leaves, and they use them for their larvae as food. They venomize them. They plant their eggs in them. They stuff them in little holes for their larvae to eat. Like, they're bad. They are bad. They're bad. But yeah, there were a couple flying around. They were like dazed out, but the sun came out and they fell down from like the eaves or wherever they were hiding underneath the drip edge or whatever, and they fell down to where I was painting on the ground. And then they were like flying around because the sun hits them and they're all sporadic, and that's when they're going to sting you, you know. So I killed them. You know. Now, other times, like a couple weeks ago, there were some hornets buzzing around the windows of a sliding door I was painting, a $35,000 sliding door. But that $35,000 provides a lot of income, even for me. God works in mysterious ways, you know. But anyway, I opened the door and scooted them out. So anyway, I don't have anything against sharks. I don't have anything against lions, so on and so forth. But I'm not going to go out of my way to save them. If I find a kind one that stands out. And the same with that deer who stomped that hawk to death. That deer stands out. That deer is anti-butchery. And that hits my heart, man. If that deer wasn't friend with that rabbit, it was friends with that deer had a friend who was a rabbit. There's no fucking doubt about it. And the deer was special that had a friend with a rabbit, and the rabbit was special that had that friendship with the deer. A hawk comes down to slam a rabbit. A deer runs in immediately. Boom, 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 boom. Now, that hawk came down. Obviously, that deer was close by. So most deer don't interrupt. Because if most deer would interrupt that killing, that slaying, the hawk wouldn't have come down. But that deer was special. And someone got it on fucking film. Whether or not the deer should have killed the hawk, I'll leave that up to you. But what it definitely speaks to is that there is, and it's the same thing with humans. What humans martyr themselves, what humans put themselves, what humans step up, you know, and say that. I've turned my back. I've stepped up a couple times. There was one time I was in a pizza joint. And I was just waiting to pick up my thing, but people were in line before me. I was waiting to pick up my pizza back when I still used to eat pizza. I fucking love pizza. I remember it. I don't eat cheese anymore, but I remember that pizza. Oh, it was so fucking good, you know. And anyway, I was waiting in line. The girl at the counter, she was a pretty girl, you know. And I don't mind, you know. Well, I do mind saying, but I'll say it, you know. I tried not to ogle her, you know. But with the glances I got, I ogled her in my mind. Sorry. And, but she was waiting on these other people, and they were fighting over, like, some kind of taco pizza, and I ordered it. How much was it? $18, this, that, whatever. I didn't order that. Well, you did order that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not paying that. Just give me the pizza, or this or that, or give it to me for free. And she's like, you ordered that. That's the thing you ordered. And this guy was obviously a total fucking dick. And like his girlfriend or wife or whatever was standing there with him, you know. And Wicked Witch from the West or whatever, and like he started being a wicked fucking asshole. And like most of the time when people are being dicks, I'm like, I kind of stand off, you know. But like he was being like so degrading to this girl and yelling at her, and she was starting to tear up. And I remember like, and he was, you know, now that I look back, he was bigger than me and tougher than me, but like I felt this fury building within me. It was over at Pizza Palace across the way. I felt this fury building within me. And concern and fear, but the fury overtook all of it. And I was like way on the other side of the counter, and as that fury built, like I took just a small step closer, you know. And I told myself, if this guy says one more fucking word, I'm going to explode. And like when I explode, it's an explosion. I won't demonstrate it here, but it was going to be along the lines at a very high volume, in complete fury. You know, you fucking piece of shit. How dare you talk to a fucking girl that way, right? Even though I myself have caught a glimpse of this girl and thought, wow, what a pretty girl. Not knowing, is she 16? Is she 19? I never hit on her. I didn't pick her up, you know. Not to say that I haven't done like things I shouldn't have done, or been promiscuous, or maybe a little misleading in other ways. But you know, I'm just saying, like I'm not fucking perfect, but this guy was way the fuck out of line. And anyway, yeah, I took a step closer and I said to myself, if he says one more fucking... And the whole idea was like, if I explode and he goes off on me, I'm just going to give it every fucking thing I got. Well, as it so happens, they noticed I took it. And it was such a subtle... I was leaning up against the counter and I was trying to pretend like I wasn't paying attention, but then like I kind of paid attention a little bit, and I just took one little... I mean, just a little... step, and I started looking straight at, you know, not like, but just like, I mean, very subtle. Anyway, I can't remember if it was, I think his woman noticed it and was like, never mind, let's go, or whatever. Maybe she was trying to save me. But anyway, so maybe she's the hero of the situation. So there's this young girl, there's this old girl, there's this big bully, and there's this little wimp. Who's the hero? Well, to me, that young girl was the hero. And I remember after they left, she was just crying and she was yelling like, I'm just 16, this is just my job, you know, something like that. And I was just like, for me, I was actually completely ashamed that I didn't say something before that. Like, I felt like I should have said something way before that. But like, it just, that's where my breaking point was. And when I say something, but that's the thing about micro micro movements, like just that slight movement, to my mind, maybe it was a coincidence, but like I took a step closer, and then his woman diffused the situation. In other situations, it might not, I was ready to take a beating for the truth. Luckily, it didn't happen. Luckily for me. Maybe I should have got the beating. I fucking deserve it for all the other bad shit I've done in my life, Anyway, I got way off point. Hajar. Michael, who slammed all those demons to hell. Right. Then I think of that guy, his girl, that young girl. Then I think of the big old lady. I forget her name. I used to go there all the time. Now I never do. Elena. I think her name's Elena. Anyway, she came out and I was like, I'm so sorry I didn't do something. I think I gave the girl like a $20 tip or a $40 tip or something. And I was like, tell her I'm so sorry, And I've thought about it for days and years. But luckily, there was another woman there to diffuse the situation. And who knows what that guy's problem was. Maybe he didn't have the money. Maybe he ordered the pizza and didn't realize how much it cost, or didn't realize how little money he had in his wallet. And then when he got there and didn't have the money and didn't want to embarrass himself in front of his girlfriend and be like, oh, I can't pay for it, and ask her for money. Maybe that's why he was being like that, because he's inside his head. He's like, I can't let my. I mean, I've been in that situation. I haven't dealt with it that way, but you know what I'm saying. Like in my past, especially as a younger man, like I made up stories about like this, that, whatever, or tried to wiggle myself out of a situation because like I was broke. But I didn't want to look like I was broke. Because then I'd never get the girl. Right? I don't know. Somehow that relates to Ibrahim Sarah Salah. And yeah, picking up on yesterday. Yesterday. Ooh, that's hot. Picking up on yesterday. Toom, toom. Toom, toom. Toom, toom. Toom, toom. Toom, toom. Happy Michaelmas. This is a new bowl of porridge. Yesterday's porridge, I actually only ate one spoonful, maybe two. And then I ate the rest for lunch. Drank some protein shakes. My jaw's still clenched. I woke up this morning and I could bite down on this side. So I was like, great, I can chew. But then after my coffee and my cigarettes, I had 2 cups of coffee and I had 3.5 cigarettes. right after I woke up. And by that time, I already had this whole lockjaw thing going. Even though it's not quite locked, I just can't. I can't get my molars together. I can bring my jaw up further, I guess, if I put my teeth forward and bring my jaw back. So then my teeth go like, you can't see it because my lip's in the way and my beard, but like this is my gum line. So I can do that, but when I have it aligned, I can't do it. So it's porridge. I drank some protein shakes. I guess this weekend I'll go, I'm thinking like turmeric watermelon smoothies. And I'm going to quit drinking in sober October. I got one more day of drinking. But anyway, since I'm drinking, boom, 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 boom. The vegan cross, boom, boom, Haja, boom, boom, Michael, Saint Michael. Mary is washing Michael, washing the blood off Michael, saying, Michael, you have a different war to fight today. Michael, dear sweet Michael, tired angel warrior, we are sending you to Hajar, Hagar, to comfort her, to help her. Mary says to Michael, as Joseph was a protector of me, Michael, you will be the inconsummate lover of Hajar. You will marry her in spirit, and you will not touch her in flesh. You will wash her, and you will clean her and her kinfolk, and bring them into the fold lovingly. It's a hope and a prayer. I am not that pure. But that is the story. That's the rumination. The rumi? The rumi? That's the rumination. The rumination. Because I can't eat the bread, because my jaw doesn't work right now, you'll have to see yesterday's story. Oh, my light went out. We can't let that. We will not let the light go out. Well, apparently the light has died. Boom, 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 boom. Right. Now we're in hell. Because I can't eat the bread, because my jaw doesn't work right, and because I can't eat the unleavened bread, I'll eat the porridge. As the body, the water, and the blood. Because when the spear went in, water and blood came out. Sorry for being like that about it. I pray to get beyond this. I'm not sure if I will. And if I don't, I hope this works. Happy Michaelmas. And if you can't be happy, fine. I pray to you as if you can find some peace and strength even if in your hurt, right, that's good. And if you've seen the backside of God, and if you've been to the triple black, all of creation needs you. Even if it hurts.